Hello everyone, this is Mr. Darius again, your business teacher and business consultant, and today we're gonna discuss about a very important theory that was launched by a management professor in US in the 1950s, and it has to help us today with explaining why do we adopt a certain leadership or management style, to say so. And how do we approach our staff, and how do we see our employees, and how do we foresee their impact within the company, their contribution towards the company. So it actually helps us build a graph today, or make a mark on a line on where we are as managers and what's our leadership style. So he is known as Douglas McGregor, and he was a brilliant management professor in the 1950s, and he came up with the following concept, which is called McGregor's theory X and theory Y. Okay? And throughout this theory, he's trying to answer, and in fact not only trying, he's even succeeding, and we will see this from practice later on. He's trying to find an answer to the question, to the fundamental question that haunts managers, is which are the factors that influence our attitude towards our staff. So the factors that influence our attitude as managers, yes, or as leaders towards our staff, and has divided this attitude, or this approach that we're going to have, has divided into two extremes. So you will have theory X over here, and you will have theory Y over here. And this is the middle ground. Now, I know from practice that it's quite sad when we see managers at the extremes over here in the approach or attitude that they have towards their staff. And we're going to discuss each theory individually, separately, so that we can see the advantages, if there are any. We will be the ones to establish this once we put this into practice, because as I've said in many videos up to now, everything is relative depending on business size, on number of staff, attitude of staff, preparation, level of education of staff, resources you have, market you are in, competition that you have, and so on and so forth. So I think before we can establish where we are on this graph that actually decides our leadership style and management style and the way we approach and see our employees, we should first discuss about each and every one of them individually. So in theory X, I would actually draw, this phase of a specific manager, because this is the type of manager that believes that staff should be punished if they done error or if they're not performing as expected, And this should be an exercise that should be done as an outstanding example to put in front of other employees of what happens if you don't do well or as expected within the company. This is the kind of manager that also believes that employees are actually lazy. They don't want to work. If they can actually, they're even gonna simulate work instead of actually working. He or she is the kind of person that believes that employees are resistant to change. So perhaps there's no real point into bringing new technologies or changing processes, or if there is, they are by default expecting a riot from the employees and them being revolted and repulsive towards this change. They also believe they dislike their work. I mean, they just work for the paycheck, they just want to get some money, they don't take real pride in what they do. They don't come here because they enjoy the company of their colleagues, they like their job, they understand the impact that they do it for money, and they generally dislike work. So if they could get money without actually working, that would be the ideal solution for the workers. They also believe that workers run away from responsibility. This is turning into a really sad movie over here, but I've also seen in reality that it can be the truth. I mean, you would have employees in a company that don't want to stand up, they don't want to take the extra responsibility. You offered them a promotion, you offered them more money, they don't want to take it, they don't want to have the burden of more worries and being responsible for others. So this can actually happen, as sad as it looks. And employees need to be controlled firmly and oftenly so that they will actually do the work. And besides being controlled, they should be also supervised in order to make sure that they deliver the expected results. So if you are within this, let's say, leadership style or management style graph, on this extreme over here, you would be this kind of person that looks at the staff and actually labels employees in such a way. So, going on the other extreme over here, which is theory Y, and here we will paint a different face. It would be this face. Yeah? Okay. Here you actually believe that employees enjoy work. Their work in general. It is a natural part of their lives. They see this as natural as breathing or having physical exercise. You believe there is no need for control or coercion to actually get the work done and deliver results. You actually believe this. You also believe that workers will accept responsibility. And this will actually be manifested through new ideas and solutions towards company problems. Okay? And last but not least, you also believe in the ability of each individual to solve problems. So they are capable to solve problems. Of course, there are different levels of problems depending on each employee's experience. Let's say history with the company, preparation, education. So there are more factors to take in consideration when deciding on how capable is an employee to actually take responsibility and solve problems. But this being said, we're now coming back to this graph, and from my experience, whenever you see these extremes that McGregors have pointed out in terms of attitude towards employees, I don't think a business can end up very well. So even if you're this happy, super positive, super trusting employees with everything kind of manager, you're gonna get hit in the face because the reality could be different. But even if you are this despot type of manager which believes in, like in the Middle Ages, in punishment, and in the fact that you need to control, you need to supervise, and you need to tell people specifically what to do so they don't think and they don't act on behalf of the company. Again, I think the labor turnover rate will be immense. I think that there are industries such as the IT industry where you wouldn't last even a day. I think that this kind of management should not have a lot of room to play, because it can be very toxic for the people that work in that environment. And you know what? I often associate when I go within a company and do a bit of audit work, I start discussing with people at different levels, and I associate the image of the manager and of the company with what people have to say as a feedback about that person and about that company. So I'm guessing that the picture they would paint if you would adopt this management style would be very different. So I would recommend personally that you would be somewhere close within the middle, knowing about this theory and having in mind what it actually involves, perhaps updating some of these mentalities over here, attitudes or approaches in a way that it gets closer to theory Y, so that in the end you can have some sort of balance over there. Because at the end of the day, not all employees are capable, not all of them want to accept responsibility, not all of them take joy from what they do, and there are situations in which they need to be guided and instructed in order to be capable to deliver. So this being said, thank you for watching this video, and be very careful where do you position yourself in terms of leadership and management style, as this will tend to backfire within your business and could result in having either motivated or unmotivated employees. Thank you very much for watching this video, and don't forget, if you have any queries, just drop me a line and I'll help you pull it through.